I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It, episode 71. Remember to subscribe to our podcasts, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
Interesting show today. It might get a little complicated, so you're going to pay attention to this one. I want to talk about how chemicals may be threatening human survival. Now, I know it's a little, shocking. Oh my gosh, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I'm not going to jump on that. But I do want to talk about some research that's out that's showing how chemicals are affecting the reproductive capabilities of men and women across the world. And this is kind of serious stuff. The reason I kind of jumped into this is that just recently a friend of mine, in fact, this girl I used to walk home from school at first grade, my friend Dawn, I just saw that she had passed away. And two of her other friends, there were four girls that always hung out together, and three of the four have died of cancer. Now, I'm from New Jersey, so I grew up in a place called Cancer Alley. And it was right around Carlstead, East Rutherford area, and right by Giant Stadium, if that means anything to you. But we had so many chemical factories, little interwoven into the neighborhoods. You'd have house, chemical factory, house. And so a lot of them have been condemned and cleaned up. But we have a very high rate of cancer where I grew up, and of course I moved out years ago. And so it worried me. And then I had a patient come in this week, and he came in and he said he's very concerned because he's a young guy, he's mid-30s, handsome fella, tall. And he says, I got belly fat, and I want to get rid of this belly fat. And I don't know what to do. And he says, one of my doctors said I might have gynecomastia, which is when men start to grow breasts. And another doctor said he didn't. But I mean, he was a nice looking fella, but he was kind of soft and mushy. I don't know what are the words to say. So I thought I really need to do a show on this because I need to tell you what's going on with chemicals. I'm going to start with a chemical called phthalates, and that's Phthalates, phthalates is what it would be pronounced. And what it's doing to men especially, and then also what it's doing to women. But infertility has become a problem. I've been in practice for 34 years, and 34 years ago, I didn't see a lot of the issues that I'm seeing today. I see a lot more digestive issues, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. I didn't see that 34 years ago. I see a lot more couples coming in saying they can't make babies, they can't conceive, men and women. That's issue. Erectile dysfunction. 30 some odd years ago, every now and then an old guy who was on blood pressure medication might come in and have an issue. Now I'm seeing it in 20-year-olds. So it's a real serious issue. One of the supplements I have is called nitric oxide, and one of the reasons I created the nitric oxide supplement is just for that issue. Men coming in with erectile dysfunction and going, I don't know what to do about it, and the nitric oxide will open up your blood vessels and increase circulation. So as part of the protocol of getting the body cleaned up and healthy, we'll get them on some nitric oxide. And it helps with circulation to the brain, the arms, the legs. It's an amazing product, and it's on the website, drjoe.com. But I'm seeing more problems, especially in the reproductive world, than I've ever seen before. And that worries me. It's not just men, it's women too. Article published last year. Total sperm counts in North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand dropped by 60% between 1973 and 2013. So, 1973, I was alive. A lot of you were alive. Sperm counts have dropped 60%. Now you think, well, that's no big deal. Not going to make a lot of babies. It's okay. It's a warning sign. Now, it's interesting because South America, Asia, and African men, we didn't see a difference. So it's basically the European nations and the U.S. where we're seeing the problems. In a nutshell, men in a lot of areas of the world are producing less semen overworld. Now, let me explain this to you because, again, if you have kids in the area, we're not getting dirty, but we might get a little technical here, so you might want to turn this off right now. But it's okay. I'm not going to get bad. Semen, what happens is the testicles in a man produce sperm. These are little things with little tails on them, and those are the things that when they get into the egg, they impregnate the woman. Semen is the fluid that the sperm are in, and that's made in the prostate gland. So the sperm are produced in the testicles, go up a tube, through the prostate where they mix with the fluid, and then out of the body. So men around the world are producing less semen, and the semen they produce are containing fewer sperm. So you think, again, it's not a big deal, but this is really a big warning sign. I'm going to explain to you why. Research has found no evidence to suggest that this trend is leveling off. It's continually getting worse. Sperm counts went from 99 million sperm per milliliter in 1973 to 47 million in 2011, a 60% drop. Very serious stuff. Aside from the implication it has on the human species overall, because again, we're seeing more and more people having trouble to make babies, reduction in sperm production is also a warning sign that men's health is in serious jeopardy, and it is. Because when men start to lose their hormones, they become more feminized. And we're seeing that happen more and more. Poor sperm quality is linked to a number of other health issues. Here it comes. High blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, and even early death. It's a big issue. And what's causing it? I'm going to get to that in a second. Testosterone is also dropping. Testosterone is a hormone. It's produced by your testicles. It's also produced by your adrenal glands. So women produce testosterone just like men. And as the testosterone levels are dropping, exposure to what's called endocrine disrupting chemicals in utero, when the baby's still inside the mommy, appear to be the driving factor. So what's happening is women are getting exposed when they're pregnant to these toxic chemicals. It's affecting the baby boys. It's also affecting the baby girls. We're going to cover that a little bit, but I want to make sure you're following all this. Okay, you with me so far? In Denmark, 1 in 5 men cannot father a child. 1 in 5. Now, this is a Denmark study. I didn't see any studies in the United States that I could find, but the Denmark study was pretty clear. New form of precursor cells for testicular cancer, these are the cells that will eventually become testicular cancer, were pretty rare. They've doubled in the past several years. So the risk of getting testicular cancer in men is skyrocketing. It's doubled, okay? Still low, but it's doubling. Precursor cells have begun to develop before a patient is even born. So in utero, when the baby's inside the mommy, we start to have a problem. Now, as a chiropractor and nutritionist, my job is I want to get you well. Patients come to my office all the time. I got neck pain, I got back pain, been in a car accident. And I'll tell them, I say, listen, my job is not get you out of pain. My job is get you well. And so if people come in just for pain management, I'll tell them, tell me right up front, you just want to get out of pain and you're going to stop coming in. Great. I'll put a note in your chart. Eventually, you'll come back. It always happens because it didn't fix the problem. It just treated the symptoms. But if that's what you want, I don't argue with patients. So now, as we start to go more and more into what we're seeing with chemicals, I got to let you and my patients know that this is an issue. And I'm going to tell you what to do about it, so don't worry about it. Don't get too scared here. If the testes are not developing properly, the likelihood of something else happening is an issue. There's a term for it. It's called testicular dysgenesis syndrome. Genesis is forming. Dysgenesis means not forming properly. Dys means not. And you're seeing things like hypospadia. What that is the urethra, which is supposed to come out of the tip of the male organ, now comes out the bottom or the side. So when a man goes to urinate, it's not coming out the top. It's pretty weird. I've seen this. Cryptorchism. The testicles, when a baby is born, are up inside the body, and then they drop down. They're not dropping down like they're supposed to. And that's a big issue. Testicles have to be held at a different temperature. That's why testicles are on the outside of the body. They're slightly cooler than the rest of the body. And if they're heated, they don't work very well. And so the testicles have to come out of the body. And if they don't, being kept in the body, the heat can start to kill them. Oligospermia. This is low sperm count, poor sperm quality. And then, of course, we talked about testicular cancer. So this is just a warning sign building up to what's causing it. So hang on there. They're gender-bending chemicals. What's happening is they're making men more feminized. And I saw this several years ago. I remember I was on a cruise, and I was out by the pool, and I was watching, everybody run around in their bathing suits and everything. And I noticed that the guys, especially young, good-looking guys with muscles, were developing breasts. It's called gynecomastia. And I didn't notice it on one or two. I saw it on a lot. It wasn't just on fat guys. It was on skinny guys, too. And we've actually started a whole new cottage business in plastic surgery, removing the male breast, the gynecomastia. But that worries me. And the reason that worries me is it's treating a symptom, it's not treating the cause. Oh, I have gynecomastia, I'm going to go have surgery, I'm fine. You're not fine. There's a problem. Something's wrong. Why are you growing breast? And it's usually because we have too much estrogen-like compounds in our body. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is the estrogen-like compounds. So these chemicals are being spread all over the world, and it's a big problem. The most common is called phthalates. And what that is, it's called a plasticizing chemical. It makes plastic soft and pliable. So plastic, if you add phthalates to it, is much easier to work with. And so what can we do with it? We can do all sorts of things with it. We can make plastic cups, we can make toys, we can make spoons, we can make plates. It's more moldable when we add the phthalates to it. Phthalates is one of the endocrine disrupting chemicals we're talking about today. There's also one called bisphenol A. Now, bisphenol A, if you've listened to my shows before, I've talked about in the past. Haven't talked about it in a while. That's why I wanted to do a show on this. And bisphenol A, it's a chemical that's an endocrine disruptor. It acts like estrogen, just like the phthalates. Estrogen then gets into the body, and estrogen is a growth hormone. And if you're done growing up, you grow out. And this is one of the reasons why we have an obesity problem. It's not just that we're eating bad foods, which is true. It's not just that we're eating too much food, which is true. But we also have this third component added to it, which are endocrine disrupting chemicals, which can cause us to gain weight. So you're thinking to yourself, Doc, I've done everything right and I can't lose weight. Then I sit down with the patient and I'll say, okay, let's talk about your lifestyle. Do you use air fresheners? Oh yeah, all of my house and my car, I have air fresheners. Okay, those are endocrine disrupting chemicals. Do you use hairspray that has a scent to it? Yes. How about deodorants with scents or antiperspirants? Yes. Okay, how about carpet cleaners? Yes. How about dry cleaning? Yes. All of these things are getting into the body and disrupting the hormones in your body. That's some serious stuff. So it's not a thing, it's many things. So I can give you a great diet, and you can eat great, and I want you to, of course. But I also want to deal with the environment as well, because that's having a big impact on your body. In adults, the more phthalates a man has in his system, the lower testosterone level will be, and the lower his sperm count. Bam. There's a sentence right there you need to remember. The more phthalates a man has in his system, it's going to lower his sperm count and his testosterone. So here we are becoming, guys, we're getting older. I'm getting older. Testosterone levels drop. Absolutely. Just had my blood work done the other day, and I'm on the high end of normal for somebody my age, which is where I want to be for my testosterone levels. So many men and women come into our office and say, Doc, I got low testosterone. So what they want to do is give me testosterone as a hormone. That works. It's exogenous, meaning it comes from the outside. And that works, and you can put a pellet in your body or you can get, shots. That's all well and good, but again, it's treating the symptom, not the cause. I'm not against you taking drugs. I'm not against you taking hormones. I am against the fact that you're not addressing the cause. And so things like we have a supplement on our website. It's adrenal support. Adrenal support, I take it every day. Adrenal support feeds your adrenals. Your adrenal glands, one of the things they do is they produce something called pregnenolone, which becomes DHEA, which becomes testosterone. So feeding your adrenals to get them to produce their own hormones is the approach I like to take first. Because if it doesn't work, we can always give you exogenous hormones. But if it does work, which it usually does, then your body's producing its own. You're not taking it from an outside source. Because if you take it from an outside source, it sends a message up to your brain, and the brain says, I've got plenty of testosterone. Don't make any more. And so now you shut down your own production. From a chiropractic standpoint, whenever somebody has an organ issue, I always check the nerve supply to the organ. So for example, in the low back, how many people have low back pain? Raise your hands. A lot of you. The nerves in the low back control everything from the waist down. So if you have a pinched nerve in your low back, you might have back pain, leg pain, hip pain, knee pain, ankle pain. Raise your hands if you have that. I know you do. But that same low back nerve controls your colon, sex organs, and bladder. Now you might see things like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, urinary problems, sexual problems, prostate issues. Because this is the nerve from the brain that goes into your reproductive organs. So it's important that we address the chemical aspects, like we're talking about today, but we also have to address the physical aspects. So many patients that come in our office are treating their problem chemically when the problem is physical. And that's why they may not getting the results they need. Now, sometimes you need both. I don't have a problem. If I have a headache, I'm going to take an acetaminophen to block the pain. But then I'm going to go see one of my chiropractors and say, hey, why do I have a headache? And my friend Jerry just came by my office the other day, and I had some neck pain, and he checked it out. He said, your third cervical, you have an open wedge. The disc is wedged on the right side. He goes, very weird to find. Jerry's a great doctor. And he went in there and adjusted my neck, and bam, my pain went away immediately. So if the bones are out of place pinching nerves, it can cause pain, but it can also pinch nerves going to organs. So we want to work on the structure of the body physically, and then we want to work with you chemically. Recent research confirms that environmental estrogens have generational effects. What that means is males it passes from generation to generation to generation. And these new generations, not so much my father or my grandfather, but the newer generations, my generation, generation after me, and generation after that, are now showing up with these chemicals in the body with lower sperm. 60% less sperm, folks. Lower testosterone levels. Testosterone is not just your sex drive hormone. That builds muscle, not just your biceps and your triceps. How about your heart? Your heart's a muscle. How about your blood vessels? How about your colon? These are all muscles. So if you're lowering your testosterone, these muscles are not getting the nutrients or the hormones that they need to work properly. And what that's going to lead to is issues. This generation of kids, first generation ever in the history of the world, predicted to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents by 5 years. It's not a week, it's not a month, it's 5 years. So if you have young kids, their chances are, statistically speaking, this is what's projected, they're going to have a shorter life expectancy than you. We have all this technology, all this amazing breakthroughs in medicine and chiropractic and nutrition, and yet we're losing the battle. 5 years less. And now with sperm counts dropping, the ability to reproduce is now being challenged by 60%. And again, I saw it in my practice, and I said, well, it's just a fluke, this guy, this girl. Now we're seeing that the research is showing there is an issue. So folks, if you want to come see us, we're a chiropractic team. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area. We would love to be your doctors. And what we do in our office, we check the nervous system for pinched nerves. Remember, 90% of the nerves don't feel pain. So you might have a pinched nerve and not know it. So we have ways to test the nerves that feel pain and test the nerves that don't feel pain. So we check the nervous system. If you're not digesting your food properly, your stomach might be pushed up against your diaphragm. We have to manually pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. It's a chiropractic adjustment, and it can get the digestive system, in some cases, working better again. Then we do a nutritional workup with you. We want to make sure you're eating the right foods, taking the right supplements, not eating the bad foods. We talk about chemicals. If you're exposing yourself to phthalates with hairsprays and perfumes and air fresheners, we need to stop that. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I bet all of you are, I don't think anybody likes being sick, I'd like you to go to my website, drjoe.com, simple D-R-J-O-E, drjoe.com, and make an appointment. Again, offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We accept most insurances. Some insurances have out-of-network benefits. Everybody asks that question. Call us with questions, because sometimes it's a little complicated to explain, and the insurance companies change the rules pretty much, I don't know, it seems like on a daily basis sometimes. Car accidents. If you've ever been in a car accident, ever, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, only if you're serious, go to my website, drjoe.com. Make an appointment now for you, your friends, and your children. Because that's what we're talking about today. This generation is really getting challenged chemically and physically. We need to work on them. drjoe.com. All right, so other lifestyle changes that can affect male fertility. PFOAs. These are chemicals that are used sometimes in frying pans. And you'll see PFOA free. That's good. Bovine growth hormone. Now, kudos, I'm going to say something nice, about the dairy farmers in the Southeast. They decided as a group not to use somatotrophic recombinant bovine growth hormone. Because what that does, it causes the cow to produce more milk than they normally would. And I've seen this where the cow udder is becoming gorged with so much milk that the udders can actually tear. And when the udders tear, they get infections. And so this is why we have to give cows with udder infections, mastitis it's called, antibiotics to kill the infection. So now antibiotics are getting into the milk, but so is the infection. The pus is actually dripping down into the milk. Now, the last study I read, it was 750,000 pus cells in 8 drops of milk. 8 drops. 750 blood cells is the limit on how much pus and blood you can have in milk. And somatotrophic bovine growth hormone is one of the reasons. So I'm happy to cheer on the Southeast doctors. Southeast Stock, yeah, okay, I'm trying to figure out. They're not using it. Now, I don't know about other farmers around the country, but kudos to them. I don't drink milk. I don't think you should either. I did a show a while ago on monosodium glutamate, MSG. And if you go to my website, drjoe.com, we have over 1,000 hours of podcast, video, audio. You can download it on SoundCloud if you want. If you have a service, a podcast service, the podcast is called For the Health of It. And we cover a lot of these things. Go back and listen to the one or watch the one I did on MSG. And it talks about how glutamic acid, monosodium glutamate, can get into the brain and the body and adversely affect your health, including now male fertility. Fluoride, fluorinated water, fluorinated toothpaste. I'm not a big fan. I would suggest stay away from it. Pesticides, of course, I've talked about that over and over and over again. All these things can alter the hormones in men. So that's a pretty serious issue. Medications. I don't know if you knew this, but statin drugs can affect male fertility. SSRIs, they're chemicals that you take when anxiety, depression are involved. That can affect male fertility. Poor vitamins and minerals, not getting enough nutrients, vitamin D deficiency. Gosh, can I pound this Can I beat this dead horse enough? Vitamin D deficiency is rampant. You need to get outside for about 20 minutes a day in the warm months to get sunlight on your exposed skin, arms, face, neck if you can. And that's going to give you about 20,000 international units of vitamin D3. Your body produces it. In the winter months, if you're not outside a lot, I was just a guest on a show earlier today, and the host has a light. It's a special light that's going to help him stay awake more. And I said, you need to check to see if it has UVB rays. And if it's producing UVB rays, it's going to produce vitamin D in your body. So you can buy lights to produce vitamin D in your body. But I have one of my supplements on my website, drjoe.com, is vitamin D. I recommend everyone, if you're like teenager on, to take about 5,000 international units of vitamin D a day. Sounds like a lot. You know what it is? 5 drops. We have it in liquid form, 5 drops. So 5 drops of vitamin D. We also put vitamin K2 in there. Vitamin K2 helps build your bones, and so does vitamin D. But vitamin D has been shown to help with the immune system. I take it every day. There are some studies now indicating it might be very helpful in cancer patients. So most of us are deficient in vitamin D, and now we're finding that it can affect fertility as well. So vitamin D is one of those things that you probably don't think about. You think about vitamin C and iron. You've got to get your vitamin D. Relatively inexpensive, and it works great. That's on the website, drjoe.com. If you're not willing to change your diet, if you're not willing to make any changes whatsoever, at least take some supplements. It's quick, it's easy, it's inexpensive. I recommend Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. These are 2 powders. I take them every single day, many times twice a day, especially in the winter months if I'm under stress. I was on Dr. Oz show recently. I flew up and right away I had to get on a plane. Took double dose, actually took a triple dose that day. But vitamin D is important for the immune system. Nutritional yeast has something in it called beta-glucan. There's different types of beta-glucan, but the beta-glucan in nutritional yeast helps the immune system. Had a patient call me the other day. She says, Dr. Joe, I heard you say that on one of your shows, and I buy beta-glucan supplements. She goes, and they're pretty expensive. Where can I get them cheaper? I said, get nutritional yeast. Take about a teaspoon a day. She goes, well, okay. I said, I take tablespoons of it every day. And that's a much cheaper way to get the beta-glucan that you need. So the vitamin D, the beta-glucan, and at least Super Greens and Essential Source, folks. And those are on the website, drjoe.com. It's the minimum amount of nutrients you need every single day. So I'm begging you, please, do everything I say. But if you're not willing to do everything I say, at least take the Super Greens, the Essential Source, and the vitamin D. Again, we're talking about male health today, and women too. I take adrenal support. Both men and women usually benefit tremendously from taking adrenal support because it helps the adrenals produce anti-inflammatories. Electromagnetic fields can affect male fertility. What's that? Cell phones, cell towers. Friend of mine, she's listened to my show. She's a very good friend of mine. And she said, I found this amazing townhouse I want to live in. It's so great. It's wonderful. I looked up. There was a cell tower. She said, I won't do it. I've heard your shows. I've read the research. That's electromagnetic frequency. Some people say it's hogwash. Some people say it doesn't work. Let's assume I'm wrong. Just for a second, let's assume I'm wrong about electromagnetic frequencies. I'm wrong. So what? But if I'm right, which I am, because the studies are coming from all over the world now, you really want to try to limit your amount of electromagnetic frequencies. In fact, in my house, I have an old timer, like a Christmas tree timer. It costs like $8 at one of the big box stores. And I have my Wi-Fi hooked into it. So my Wi-Fi shuts off about 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and it comes back on again 7 o'clock in the morning. So when I'm sleeping, I have no Wi-Fi on. And I think you should too. Let's assume I'm wrong. I'm not, but let's assume I'm wrong. So what? You shut your Wi-Fi off at night. No big deal. My cell phone, I don't carry it next to my body for any length of time. I put it in my hand, I'll put it in my car, because the cell phone itself is doing electromagnetic frequencies. Obesity. Fat produces estrogen. Estrogen counteracts testosterone. We got to get the estrogen lower in your body and not higher. And the testosterone, we want to get higher, and we're fighting it every day. So if you're overweight, and I used to be very fat, I can say the F word, I used to be fat. If you go to my website, drjoe.com, I've done several shows on obesity and what happens when you're dieting and suddenly you hit a plateau. It's all covered there. And by the way, if you have any questions, you can always send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love to be your doctors. We want to work on the nervous system, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling. Stop suffering. Most of you suffer needlessly. And the biggest complaint I get is, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I wait so long? And the answer is, I don't know. So go to the website. You can book an appointment for you, your friends, your family, and your children. If you've ever been in a car accident, if the car was damaged, you were damaged 100% of the time. I don't care what the insurance company tells you. Oh, the car was only $500 worth of damage. You weren't hurt. Yes, you were, because your head is not as strong as steel and it bounces around. So make an appointment, drjoe.com. We have well over 1,000 hours of podcast there, video and audio. If you have a podcast service, it's called Eating Right for the Health of It. For the Health of It. The name of my book is Eating Right for the Health of It. For the Health of It is the name of my podcast. You can download them there. If you have questions, send them to me. I keep a blog going. And do this. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, because a lot of times we live stream our shows. And send me your email address. Just put it in the question area, and we'll add you to our email list. We'll never give you email out, but sometimes we have specials on supplements. But the Super Greens, the Essential Sauce, all the supplements are on the website, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app.